So this is another new segment of Shutup and Startup, and with me is Matt Hutcheon. Matt, thanks for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. So to start off, let's start off simple. Tell me about yourself and the career background. I know we've had these conversations, but for those of you who don't know you, of course, Matt,
Sure.
Let's start.
All right. So I'm originally from Kingston, Ontario, and had lived there most of my life, and then moved out here to Prince George just about 4 years ago now. I came for family reasons, and have been pleasantly surprised at how great the city is. And professionally, most of my career has been spent doing tax and bookkeeping and finance for small business. I had a practice back in Kingston that I ran for about 18 years that helped small business owners make sense of their financial data and understand what the bookkeeper did for them. And I usually refer to that as kind of being a translator and helping make the numbers make sense to the business owners so they can make more strategic decisions about their business and hopefully improve their business. And a big part of that was income tax preparation as well every year for the big crunch during March and April.
Right.
And then a couple of years before I left Kingston, I ended up being the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce there, so I had a good chance to experience what it was like to really be, spending every day working at trying to support businesses in the community and build the entrepreneurial climate in the city. And then moved to Prince George and did a bit of consulting and for quite a while was the executive director of Innovation Central here where the vault is and got a chance to work with entrepreneurs and innovators in the region and continue to be inspired by them and the things that they were doing, and got to a point where I could no longer kind of ignore the call of a return to entrepreneurship and needed to get back to doing that myself. And so just a couple months ago rebranded my tax business to Taxworks and now starting to build that company.
And that kind of leads into my next question. Of course, you mentioned that you were the former executive director, and at that time when I had moved to town, that was, of course, the role that you were in when I met you. And, because of you, you kind of helped me push myself to network a little more within the community, meeting Sean Caldera of Volcanic Gaming, and, of course, just kind of being an ongoing presence, just being in the hub space. So So first of all, thank you. Appreciate that. It's all been Matt's doing here. This is why Sellarcast is in existence, is because of Matt. So thank you.
Thank you.
So tell me about Taxwerx. You had the official launch a couple days ago.
Well, it's as I mentioned before, the bulk of my career has been doing finance and
Right.
tax work for people and for small businesses, and so I've come to sort of embrace and realize that that's sort of my superpower in the area that I most enjoy working in and can help people the most. And so this time around, in thinking about how I was going to approach that business, it was a really the chance to sort of do this again has been really great for a couple of reasons. One is it lets me exercise the demons of the things that in hindsight I wish I had done differently the first time around when I had this kind of a business. And secondly, really apply the things that I learned being involved with ICS and
Right.
being involved in a tech accelerator and learning about how to build a scalable tech-enabled company. And so that's really added some extra motivation and sort of scale of ambition for this company this time around. My practice before was basically like a lot of other professional practices. It was just me banging out billable hours, and my capacity was limited to the number of clients that I could physically serve in doing that work. And so this time around, I'm really have a mindset towards scale and we want to grow a national clientele and build a team based out of Prince George here that serves the country and leverages technology as best we can to achieve that. And really just see what we can build. It's tax is a pain for so many people. So I think there's great opportunity there. And this time around, we're trying to approach it a little bit differently. And so we've got some innovations within what we're doing with Taxworks. One is around just the brand and the personality of the company. The spelling of Taxworks with the WERX is kind of purposefully misspelled to try and indicate a little bit of approachability and different personality than other players in the income tax world. And we're going to have a little bit of fun with it too. And the language that we use in our communications and the way we deal with our clients is going to have some personality to it and some humor. So that's one of the ways we're trying to be a little bit different this time around. And for me, as an entrepreneur, that gets me excited about doing that work every day, because it's going to be more fun for me to have fun with the work and in the relationships that we have. So I'm really excited about that part of it.
Okay. And, obviously it's still early, but, you seem to obviously have that process. As far as as an entrepreneur, especially in the tax world, of course, what is kind of a typical daily routine for you, as far as, from, when you wake up in the morning and, obviously this isn't exactly a 9-to-5 type of deal, but, what's kind of that routine to kind of give people an idea of an entrepreneur in this specific type of industry?
Yeah. Well, this is because it's so seasonal, it's a bit of a unique field to be in. So the days are different depending on the type of time of year that it is.
Right.
For me, these last couple of months in January and February, it's been a lot of fun, because it's been the most time that I've had to actually work on the planning for the business. Before, especially with a professional practice, when you're just trying to bang out billable hours, any time you're not spent doing that client work, you're not earning any money. And so I never really had or took the time to do a lot of that strategic thinking and planning around growth and scale for that business. So it's been fun these last 2 months just to have all that time to develop systems and think longer term about strategy and growth and that sort of thing. Pretty soon, I'm hoping that the days will be chock filled with actually performing that work again and working with the clients that we've already secured and continuing to attract new clients over the balance of the tax season. So pretty much very soon the average day is going to be hammering away doing the work, and then trying to balance that with the other sort of marketing and admin pieces around the business. This time around, I've got a lot more attention to the marketing piece, so we'll have a very active social media presence, and so planning my time and schedule around that, and then drawing in other folks as we need to help execute on some of that stuff as well. Average day right now is sort of that mix of actually doing the client work,
right,
as well as the marketing and communications and relationship building and other components that will hopefully help grow the business down the road.
Okay. And you talk about building relationships, of course, but as far as like post-secondary students that are reaching towards graduation and they're looking at the industry, whether it's business students or non-business students, what would be your top 5 pieces of advice for post-secondary students?
I think in general, one is certainly to be spending some time learning financial literacy, and you're probably going to have to put in a bit of time to try and figure out where you can get that information, because they don't teach that in school. But finding, whether it's organizations or online resources or other programs by other organizations that will teach some of that. And that umbrella of financial literacy covers, budgeting and sort of personal cash flow planning, savings and investment and all that kind of stuff, as well as understanding your tax situation a little bit, and
right,
what reduces your tax payable, what increases your tax payable. If you're self-employed or you've got a side hustle, what are the tax implications of that? And really just starting to understand that. And I'm amazed continually at the number of my clients who are, well into their adult years and 40s and 50s and still don't really have a handle of what's going to happen. They really don't know when they hand their tax stuff over to me what the balance is going to be. They would be equally surprised whether I told them they had a great big refund or if I told them they had a huge amount owing. And so to me, as a tax and a finance guy, it's unsettling to me that people wouldn't understand their own circumstances like that. So I think, and your personal finances are going to drive a lot of aspects of your life going forward, your own personal sort of sense of security and happiness and your relationships and family and all of that kind of stuff. Money is often the most contentious issue. I've had, a lot of clients who their relationship with me as their tax preparer to them is more of an intimate one than even their physician. They would rather talk about health stuff than talk about money stuff in a lot of cases. So, so it's a delicate subject at times, but it's such an critical part of life that you really need to take the time to learn it. So first and foremost, I think really take the time to understand that and figure out the resources and find the advisors or people in life who can help provide that advice. And it's never too early to start to understand that stuff.
Me being someone who's living on their own away from home, my dad being the human calculator in the family, he's my first go-to, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
for
yeah.
sure. So to have resources like that are really important, and then make sure you use them and ask the questions and be humble and be curious and learn what you can. Sometimes when you're young, you hear all these stories about, or, recommendations or advice about save right away and sock your money away, and putting a little bit of money away when you're young is going to be better longer term than putting a lot of money away when you're older because of the compounding factor and growth of money that's invested. Mm-hmm. That's certainly true. I didn't do that when I was young, so I'm playing catch up now in my middle-aged life. So for as terrible as that sounds, when you're young and you feel invincible and you got other things you want to do with your money, some sort of financial discipline to save at least some small portion and just get into that routine and that discipline, I think, is really important too, because that growth factor of the money is really important.
Right.
And then it's there whether it's just accumulating for retirement or whether it's actually savings for some other great milestone in life, whether that's a down payment on a home or any of those things, investment in a business. Mm-hmm. Then the money's there. So I would certainly recommend that. I've seen a lot of clients successfully, really, in terms of building their own personal wealth, do that through real estate holdings. So they'll buy a rental property, maybe a 4-plex or a 6-plex apartment or something like that, or have a couple of homes that they purchase and they rent. And that seems to be a really effective way to accumulate personal wealth over time. I've seen people who, they acquire those properties maybe in their early 30s. The 25-year lifespan of the mortgage gets paid right around the time they're contemplating retirement from their professional career, and so that extra cash flow that they get from the properties is kind of a top-up to whatever pension income they have, and replaces that employment income a little bit. And it's been interesting for a lot of the men, it gives them something to do. They can go be handyman at the property and tinker with stuff and do renos and replacements and that sort of thing. So having that long-term view to how you're going to build personal wealth, I think, is pretty important too. Okay. So that gets us to 3. I don't know if I got.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay.
Head.
3's fine. That's good.
Perfect.
It's definitely an area that I'm needing to improve on, and I think for everyone that's going through post-secondary as well as finishing post-secondary, for sure.
For sure.
And it's nice to, of course, have something that's local right here in Prince George for a lot of post-secondary students, whether you're at UNBC or CNC. It's perfect. So, awesome. Yeah. Taxworks is, of course, a new startup. Obviously launched officially 2 days ago.
Yep.
And, what is it about the startup community here in the northern region that really motivates you to be an entrepreneur?
Having been an entrepreneur in Ontario and now again here, there's certainly a lot of similarities. I think anybody who's an entrepreneur at heart and who is driven by the challenge of creating something of their own and is willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen and be the last person paid and be the first one in the office every day and be the last one out late at night and not have any sick days and vacation days and that sort of thing while they build the business. There's such a unique spirit that causes people to live a life like that, and I'm just really inspired by the other folks that are motivated that way, and so to be involved in the entrepreneurial community in general, just to learn about other business owners and what they're doing and the ways in which they're committed to their business and sacrificing and that sort of thing has always been inspiring to me as an entrepreneur as well. With what I do professionally, it gives me a chance to understand more about a lot of the businesses, at least from a financial aspect. And then in working with them around the financial piece, get to understand more of some of the strategy and the things that they're doing and have tried and which have failed or are looking to do, and they want to understand better whether that's the right strategy or not. So I've been really blessed to be further integrated into a lot of those small companies that way and understand them even more. And that just helps to feed that whole sort of cycle of motivation and inspiration. The more I get to learn about different businesses, the more I get to feed off of the energy and the passion that those entrepreneurs are bringing to their business, and all of which I can only sort of help absorb and use it in my own.
There you go. And, that's motivated me to create a podcast. I mean, obviously it's kind of turned into more of a YouTube channel, but I mean, the heart is there, the message is still there, of course, to create content, do something that you love, that you're passionate about, and surrounding yourself with people that have that same energy is so crucial, like you had said, really. Is there anything else you want to
Well, the other part of being plugged into an entrepreneurial community is if you can create that peer group, whether it's formally through some kind of a networking group or other sort of association, or just informally amongst a group of peers, I found that incredibly important and incredibly powerful throughout my entrepreneurial career. And we had, back in Kingston, for example, there was a number of us who were young entrepreneurs at the time, and so we're going through the same battles, and you'd look up from your desk and it would be 11:30 at night, and realize you hadn't eaten dinner, and so a couple of phone calls go out to see who's still at their office, because this was before you could text and message everybody. So phone calls would go
were
out.
a thing. Landlines were a thing. Okay.
Cords on the phone and everything. But you'd call around to the people that you knew were likely still working, and you'd set a dinner date for Tim Hortons at midnight for a bowl of stale chili and a hard roll, but that was what it was. And so you kind of commiserate together with people who have the same challenges, and we made it as fun as we could too. We had we all knew the stat that 85% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. So as soon as anybody reached their 2-year anniversary, we would have a welcome to the top 15% of entrepreneurs of all time ceremony for them and celebrate that milestone. And woo-hoo. Yeah, so the days of entrepreneurship are long and hard and frustrating, and so sometimes you need those little glimmers of hope and those reminders that if you have been successful to some degree and are still around at least after 2 years, then you are literally in the top 15% of people all time who've ever done it. So it's worth celebrating.
And I mean, you keep doing so many different things as far as entrepreneurial endeavors, and obviously, you're still doing it. You still have that motivation. You still have that energy, because you're always meeting new people, and that just helps the overall.
Yeah, process. It's been great, and it's not without its trials and tribulations too. I've had a couple of business failures in my path, and learn from them and use them as motivation too to just help put that extra little bit in to make sure that this next time around is going to be another success instead of another failure, and learn what you can from it and carry on. There you go.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's it, Matt. I appreciate you being on here for Shutup and Startup. This is another wonderful segment right here on the Sellarcast in the Vault. Thanks so much. Thanks, Matt.
Cool. That's great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.